Hello, hello. Peace. Time now is 7:04. We're going to do this short video to sit there and see how everything turns out. Let me know how you hear it. All right. Let me know if it's seen. I'll check it myself. And let's see what happens in this particular matter. All right. Thank you. Trying to deal with the monitor matter. Time right now is 7:04, the 18th of April. Pardon me, the 18th of July.
Teachers are frustrated because students don't know the basics anymore.
So no disrespect. Whose fault is that? If teachers are frustrated because students don't know the basics, who is responsible for teaching the student?
Explain the response I'm supposed to have when a ninth grade student asks me, what is the first month of the year? And I say, what do you mean the first month? Because you're not asking what I think you're asking. And they say,
all right, you want me to explain to you what response you should have when a ninth grade student asks you something. If you're a teacher, and if that's your class, you have an answer. That's what you're supposed to do.
Well, on this worksheet, it says, what was the world's population at the beginning of the year? I don't remember what's the first month. How am I supposed to type that in? Because all I could do was turn my head and go back to my computer and keep typing. I literally just ignored it because I can't.
That is what you don't do. You don't ignore when someone is asking you something. If the person sees you as a figure of authority in something, if the person sees you as a way to glean information, then you give the person an answer. You don't accept a position, say as a teacher, and then when a student looking at you as a teacher, comfortable enough to ask even what you may think is a dumb question, then it is your responsibility to give one an answer, because he or she is looking up to you as a source of knowledge, as a source of getting information across.
Can't say what a ridiculous, probably the stupidest question I've ever had in my life. And I can't say, oh, that's okay. You remember January, February, because you are 15 years old. And that was not the only student that asked me that question. What do you mean the beginning of the year? And some of them are like, oh, you mean like January 1st? Why do I have to say January 1st? The beginning of the year. That is universally understood as January 1st.
No, it is not universally understood as January 1st. When you're dealing with, in many cases, multi-racial schools, if that's a word, their new year may begin at a different time. The school year doesn't start January 1st. So when they are asked the question, and they ask a question about the question, it's because they want the correct answer from a person such as yourself, who is seen as a figure of authority. But if you're okay turning your back and your behind to somebody, maybe spiritually for them to kiss it, then what could be expected as the time goes on? Is this person that we see here thinking about 20, 30 years later when the student is 35, 40 years old? And while we're talking about, in certain cases, bullying in school, how do you as the teacher make the child feel ignoring the child, not paying attention to the child? After being told while in school younger, anything happens, tell the teacher. Why didn't you tell the teacher? And then when the students now go to the teachers to sit there and address the matter, they're being ignored. Where will the children see the future in the ancient ones, the older ones, the advice? Don't put yourself in that position as a state teacher if you're not built for that. Don't waste your time. Do not waste the child's time. Do not waste the parents' time.
Another question on their assignment was, what was the world population the day you were born? And what was the world population on your first birthday? And then they had to find the difference. The fact that I'd probably say half of my classes were asking me, what do you mean by our first birthday? And I'm like, your first birthday. And I had a girl say, I've never had a birthday. She's like, I never had a first birthday. And I'm like, yes, you have. And you had a second birthday and a third birthday and a fourth birthday. You're 15.
No. You've had a birthday, and everything else truly after that is the anniversary of that birthday or memorial of that birthday. If the birth is the baby coming out from the mom, be it through cesarean or what they call natural and understood terms. That is your birthday. So the child reading this and seeing this goes to the figure of authority, to the teacher, the instructor, the adult in the room. And this person goes online and said that a question was stupid, if you heard the statement earlier. And the lady who spoke before the lady that's now speaking there, saying teachers are frustrated because students don't know the basics. That's why they're still students. You have doctors with a degree, with certifications, who look up prescriptions online. Did you know that? So what's wrong with a student asking a teacher a question?
15. Even when I said, because it's not a confusion problem, because even when I said, okay, when you turned 1, I had students that were like, well, if I was born in 2010, when would that be? And it was almost like they were guessing with me. They'd be like 2011, 2012. Why are you unsure? I just think with the cognitive level that our students are at,
They may be nervous. They may have something else on their mind. They're human beings. But if, say, a doctor sees a person in a hospital as a patient and maybe also not as a human being, he or she will treat that person who happens to be a patient differently. If you're a teacher and you see the people as students and not people seeking answers from you, whom they have respect for, to trust the answer that you're going to give. They're not going to second guess you. That is the time to use your authoritative figure and answer the question, if you're allowed to do so. Why are you questioning? Anyone who is in a figure of authority and asks those who are under the figure of authority, why is one questioning, does not need to be in that figure of authority. That person does not enjoy or take passion or have respect for the level that he or she is. Do you know the position that you hold in these young people's lives? Obama said that in regards with something with Trump. He does not respect the office that he is in. So when the lady said earlier about teachers are frustrated because students don't know the basics, then you may have to do overtime in teaching the basics. You may have to do what other teachers failed at, just as much as maybe with doctors. They may have to prescribe something that another doctor prescribed that winded up not being the best or working. Sometimes in the medical world, they ask, did you get a second opinion? Now, if you're a patient dealing with doctors, and if it's your body, then shouldn't you already know because it's yours? Or are people such as the lady we see there in a teaching position and get medical coverage, uses it perhaps, and I say no disrespect, because a brother wears glasses himself. I'm supposed to. So if those on your eyes, and I don't say this to be disrespectful at all, if those are prescription, somebody looked that up. Somebody tested your eyes. But if those are your eyes, would they ever truly, if those are prescription, needed to be tested because it's yours for over 15 years? See, when you put yourself and are then seen in a figure of authority, and then you, as you stated, turn your back, you lost your authoritative position. Let me give an example of what I'm talking about. We go back here to 20, let's go to 15 here. 14, sorry.
at the beginning of the year, I don't remember what's the first month. How am I supposed to type that in? Because all I could do was turn my head and go back to my computer and keep typing. I literally just ignored it because
that is when you lost your position in authority. I completely just ignored. Now let's go back and hear, remembering what was stated in action, which speaks louder than words, as we are taught as students.
And I had a girl say, I've never had a birthday. She's like, I never had a first birthday. And I'm like, yes, you have. And you had a second birthday and a third birthday and a fourth birthday. You're 15. Even when I said, because it's not a confusion problem, because even when I said, okay, when you turned 1, I had students that were like, well, if I was born in 2010, when would that be? And it was almost like they were guessing with me. They'd be like 2011, 2012. Why are you unsure?
They're unsure because maybe somebody else completely ignored and turned their back to the student. Those could be the consequences of those who see you as a figure of authority and you don't take the position of such as serious. You are seen in a certain light, but you rather sit in darkness and not in your light and shine in your light. It's that serious.
I just think with the cognitive level that our students are at, I think the most bare minimum rule that you can have today is, well, why are you unsure? I just think with the cognitive level that our students are at, I think with the cognitive level that our students are at, I think the most cognitive level that our students are at, I think the cognitive level that our students are at, cognitive level that our students are at, I think the
You don't have the right to say our students when you turn your back. As you stated you did. That's why I tried my best. Maybe not the best editing skills. Sorry about that. Our students are at, which I'm not the best English major, but something tells me where our students are at may not even be correct English, but we're all students in one way, shape, form, fashion, or another. You know how many times when I type something, I am checked by Word or something like that? We make mistakes. We are still all a process of getting better. Unless, no disrespect, you feel your mind is better than others. And if you're there, a brother like me needs you to bring me to where you are. Help me get to where you are, quote unquote, at. To where I can sit down inside of an apartment or a car and say something in so many words is beneath my level to address. That something is not important for me after I'm being seen as a teacher. I am a Hebrew teacher myself. I am asked about, what about this concordance or this book? Or moreh, which is the Hebrew word for teacher. What do you suggest I use for this? Or this app for this? I cannot say, just do what you want to do. You don't, in one breath, accept the authoritative position in something when people entrust you with their family members, their children, or otherwise. And that is the attitude that you have. You do not have the right to tell a parent to not deal with their children with phones. Because if you can turn your back, like you said, and just continue doing what you was doing, you're not built for that kind of job, that career. Something tells me they didn't hire you to do you. They hired you to deal with the children.